And now, everybody, I know you've been waiting. I know you've been waiting. She's been waiting too. Everybody,
I'm going to talk dirty to you for a second. Math.
double D's, sexy numbers. Dan, take it away, bud.
Okay, Aaron. So this week you get my topic for this week is. Sorry. Wrong button. How successful is the spinners slash opponent's choice strategy? So before we go into it, do you think it? Let's define what the strategy is for both spinners and opponent's choice. For spinner's choice, the goal is to get as many points that you possibly can get. You're picking your favorite category. You want the most amount of points. You want to get the most you want. You don't want to check down the multiple choice as much. With opponents, it's the reverse. You're choosing your opponent's category so they can gain as little points as possible. And maybe we're not going to factor in steals. We're just going to factor in the progress of the competitors without steals. Sorry, I have to hit the right screen. Okay, so for the success categories for singles, for spinner's choice, to gain 0 to 2 points, that's considered bad. 3 to 4 points, that's considered fair. 3 to 6 points, that's considered great. And 7 to 8 points is perfect. And with opponent's choice, it's literally just the reverse of those. So 7 to 8 points is bad, 5 to 6 is poor, and yada, yada, yada. So before we move on and get to the actual numbers, which of these do you feel is the most scored? What is your opinion on the success rate for the spinners and opponent's choice in singles?
Theoretically, I mean, I feel like the spinners has to be more successful because I feel like, especially in a game like this where it's all about what you know, it's always best to bet on yourself and not your opponent. I feel like you can much easier gauge what you know versus what you think your opponent doesn't know. And I think that's why we see more instances of opponent's choice going wrong than we do spinner's choice going wrong. It's not very often somebody picks spinner's choice and they totally tank their own category. So I think I feel like just theoretically that has to make the most sense.
Okay, so let's get into the actual numbers. So for spinner's choice, there's 6% of the time it has been bad. So yes, it has happened, but it hasn't happened too frequently. 18% of the time it's been fair. 41% has been great, and 35% has been perfect. So that's a 76% success rate. So I would say that would be successful. Opponent's choice is actually pretty interesting. 11% has been bad, and we saw 2 this week where they scored a very high amount, especially, well, I know it's in teams, but one was in teams, but in singles, it's been 11% bad. 31% was poor, 30% was fair, and only 28% was perfect. Now, yes, it's the majority, positive-wise, it's the majority, but we're seeing a lot of increase in poor and bad with opponent's choice. And I think that's because, you're relying on yourself. You check down the multiple choice and you're guessing yourself. And it's going to be kind of different with teams. You have someone to kind of confer with. So with the success categories for teams, for spinners, 0 to 3 points is considered bad. 4 to 6 points is fair. 7 to 9 points is great. And 10 to 12 points is perfect. And for opponent's choice, 10 to 12 points is bad. 7 to 9 is poor. 4 to 6 is fair. And 3 to 0 is perfect. So do you think that teams is going to be slightly better? Do you think it's going to be vastly better? Do you think it's going to be the same? What are your thoughts?
So I think the same logic applies, but doubled. I think, again, when you're working with a partner, I think in my head the way that this works out is with spinner's choice. I think the success rates are a little lower because it all depends on how you balance it. Are you going for something like, as somebody myself who has played fan league matches both alone and with a partner, when you're with a partner, there has to be that discussion of, are we going to go for something we're both like 80% strong in and hoping we match out, or are we betting on something that one person is really, really strong in and hoping they can carry us? Whereas on the opposite side with opponent's choice, I think you're more likely to see fails of giving somebody a category happen more because it's two minds versus one. So now you're trying to account for, what do these two people not have a strength in? And if you're a manager who's put your teams together correctly, you are putting together two players that have different varying strengths. So that's harder to map out.
All right, so let's see the actual numbers. So for teams, and because I said this, I kind of hinted at it a little bit, because you have an extra person, you kind of have that collaboration. For spinner's choice, 0% has been bad. Once you have spinner's choice, it's greatly yield to a better outcome. 6% is fair. 35% is considered great, and 59% is perfect. And that's because you are collaborating with someone and you're getting something that you're both strong in, and hopefully you can collab with and figure it out. Opponent's choice, it's a lot different. Bad is considered has 4%, and I don't know why poor is not showing up, but let's see. So fair is
65, 69.
So about what, 30? I think 31%. Let's say 31%.
That sounds right.
So 31% is considered poor. 50% is fair, and 15% is considered perfect. So that's still a 65% success rate, but it's a little bit better because you do have, again, you're choosing something that both teams are struggle with. And if we've seen this happen before, specifically like Andrew Guy and Ethan Irwin, I think they got Alfred Hitchcock movies. Andrew Guy was knocked out immediately, and Ethan Irwin pretty much on his own. So that's why I think it's been like that for teams.
I actually, because I do remember that match, that is actually one of the things with teams where it can backfire, which is like, and I referenced the Jader match earlier. One of the things people forget about that match is, on the side, Andrew Guy actually knew a lot of the answers. When they were in conversation, he would say just openly, I think it might be this. And a lot of the time he ended up being right. The difference is, it seemed like they didn't have a lot of time to communicate and really work as a team, because Drew just kept doubting himself and acquiescing to Irwin because he considered him to be the better player, versus really discussing it and working on it as a team. And that's where it can backfire against you and hurt them.
All right. So let's move on to the final category, because Star Wars and IG have the exact same points. So I just put them all together. Right. So spinner's choice, 0 to 2 points is considered bad. 3 to 4 points is considered poor. 5 to 6 points is considered fair. 7 to 8 points is considered great, and 9 to 10 points is considered perfect. Let's start with the easiest one first. What do you think Star Wars is going to look like with opponent's choice and spinner's choice?
Honestly, I don't think it makes much of a difference. I think with Star Wars, you either know everything you need to know at this point, or you don't know it. I mean, there's a reason there's the debate of should it even be on the wheel? Like, does it really make a difference? Because if you're going to win and succeed in Star Wars, you already know everything that you need to know, and if you're not, you're not. So I really don't think the numbers are all that different.
Okay, what about IG?
I think IG will be very close, but the opponent's choice will hurt more. Again, I think if we've reached a certain point where, especially up until before this season where the new categories got added, it had reached that point where it's like you are going to know either everything you need to know to succeed, or you're not going to know it at all, and you're going to tank. And so I think this season, the numbers may flip it a little bit, especially because we've had opponent's choice. I don't know the statistics, but it feels like we've had it more than we've ever had it before. But especially from all the years prior with the IG, it seemed like the mastery of those categories reached a point where, again, it felt like it really didn't matter, which is probably why the new categories got added.
All right, so let's look at the real numbers. So let's start with IG, because I want to save the Star Wars for the last. For spinner's choice, IG, as you kind of said, they were getting kind of to the point where you kind of know what to think. So 0% has been bad. 12% has been poor, 13% has been fair, 50% has been great, and 25% has been perfect. And I think that's because, like you're saying, that you're going to know what you're going to know, and if you're choosing something that you're strong in, you're going to know it. Opponent's choice, and again, I don't know why this is not showing up, but 9% is considered bad, 26% is poor, 17% is fair, and 35% is great, and the remaining amount is perfect. I don't know the numbers right off the bat, but
I was trying to do math in my head, but
but anyway, but the rest has been perfect. So now let's look onto Star Wars real quick. This is going to be really interesting. Basically, it's pretty much like you said. Star Wars, you know what you know everything. So 0% has been poor, bad, and fair. It's been either great at 33% and perfect with 67%. And with opponent's choice, it's been all bad by the competitors because it really raises that debate. Should it be even on there? Because 100% of the time, they've been either 12 points or 10 points or 9 points. So they rarely went to multiple choice. And honestly, this is kind of evidence to suggest that maybe they should just take it out altogether and just have another category on there. But we have Roxy Stride on the phone. Roxy, what do you think of my numbers?
You had the sexiest numbers by far.
You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.